Did you know that drinking too much water on a springtime hike could actually kill you? That's right, it might seem a little crazy, but it is true. And we're going to get into that along with 9 other facts and safety items that you need to keep in mind when you're out there on a beautiful spring afternoon hike. Let's take a walk and we'll get into it. Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. It is late spring here in the Pacific Northwest. The sun is out, the birds are singing, and it is an amazing day. But even on a day like this, there are some dangers that we need to be aware of that could sneak up on you and cause some trouble. Probably one of the most consistent things about these beautiful spring days is the inconsistency of the weather. And what I mean by that is these gorgeous sunny days tend to have afternoon thunderstorms. And with the warm weather and a thunderstorm comes melting snow and sudden rainfall. And that leads to flash floods. So make sure you check the forecast before you head out. Now, if you hear thunder, the first thing you want to do is seek shelter on higher ground. And then from there, you'll have to decide whether you're going to wait it out or you're going to retreat for the day. Going a little deeper on flash floods, you also want to keep a close eye on any river or creek crossings. Again, with the added snow melt and the rainfall, rivers and creeks are going to be at their highest level of the year, not only in depth, but in speed and force of water. So if you have a river crossing on your hike, make sure you take a close look at it and make sure it's safe prior to starting on that crossing. Sometimes you might need to find an alternate route or just postpone your trip entirely if there's too much flooding. I'm out of breath. It's not that high of a hill, but I'm obviously dehydrated or talking way too much. Whew. So, back to river crossings. A general rule of thumb for river crossings is if you're going to cross a body of water, obviously make sure it's at a comfort level where you feel safe doing so. Try not to cross water that's deeper than knee height. If you're going to go any deeper than that, you might want to have a buddy with you or look for an alternate choice. Whew. Okay, let's talk about tiredness or overexertion, right? On these beautiful days, the sun's out, again, the birds are singing, life is great, and it is amazing how energized you might feel, which is going to cause you to potentially overdo it when you're out there on your hike. Don't overestimate your ability. Pace yourself, take your time, and take breaks when you feel the need to take a break. And don't forget to hydrate, because on these beautiful days, you're going to tend to be sweating and overexerting your system, and you want to make sure you replenish all those vital nutrients. Let's talk about loss of navigation. So what once might have been a well-groomed, easily marked trail in the late spring is when all the plants are at their fullest, you've got all the new growth, and trails might not be as easily marked or recognizable as they are during the fall or late summer. So make sure you plan your route accordingly. Always know where you're headed. Take a map with you, and if you can, use some kind of a navigation device. But be prepared for doing a little bushwhacking from time to time. Spring isn't just a time for new growth. It's also when the babies are being born, which means you might run into some aggressive wildlife. And I'm not talking about squirrels and chipmunks. I'm talking about bear, elk, moose, the larger animals that are going to be very protective of their offspring. You never want to find yourself between a baby bear and a mama bear. That's not a fight you want to get into. So keep your distance from wildlife, observe from a respectable distance, and if you're in an area that's known for bear activity, I'd recommend bringing some bear spray, or at least understanding what to do if you run into a bear on the trail. As I'm walking through all this fresh, new spring growth, I'm also reminded about the increase in allergens. And if you're like me, you may be susceptible to allergies. For me, it's pollens. So all the fresh trees and plants are putting out all the pollens for the year, and it's really affecting my eyes and my nose. And it doesn't just change it from a pleasant to an unpleasant hike, but it could also cause some serious respiratory issues. So understand the area you're hiking in. If you do have allergies, plan accordingly. Bring your allergy medications, pack an inhaler as a rescue, and just be prepared. Spring hiking also means potentially muddy trail conditions. So make sure you've got a pair of boots or trail runners that you don't mind getting wet and have good traction and support if you're going to be in an extra muddy area. I personally prefer trail runners, and I like them as lightweight as possible, and unfortunately that means I tend to slip and slide a little bit more than I need to. Because of the combination of heat and moisture, your feet are going to become far more susceptible to blisters and heat sores. So the first sign of any tenderness or feeling debris in your shoes, stop, assess what's going on, take care of it immediately, because you don't want a blister to form on your trail. One tiny blister can ruin a weekend hike. We should also touch on unstable or melting snow. Now this is a big one in the late spring if you're hiking at higher elevations. You're quite likely going to be running into areas of patchy snow. Now this is not the solid winter snow. Spring snow can often be very slushy, soft, or break, and it can hide crevices or creeks or stream beds. Now, if you post hole through this snow, it can be incredibly dangerous. Not just a twisted ankle here. I mean, this could be a serious catastrophic injury. So when you're hiking in areas that still have snow in the late spring, I highly recommend bringing trekking poles and testing the area before you put your full weight onto them. So this is one of those rare treasures that you come across on a hike. We're actually out at the site of the Lansburg mine collapse. It happened in 1955. And this is a memorial that was put in place for the miners that were trapped during that tragic incident. This is a public land area, but there's no advertising or promotions that tell you that this memorial is here. It's generally a tribal knowledge to find out about it. I stumbled across it about 2 years ago on another hike, and I knew it was here, so I wanted to come explore again today. Just a pretty amazing treat. Tragic, but it's fantastic that they set aside this area to remember the fallen gentleman. So at the start of the video, I said that drinking too much water could actually kill you. Well, let's dig into that a little bit. What I was referring to is a condition called hyponatremia. And yes, I butchered that. It's commonly referred to as water intoxication. And what this means in simplest terms is that when you're overexerting yourself and your body's sweating a lot, you're sweating out all your sodium out of your system. And if you're just cameling up on plain water, then you're not replenishing those sodium levels and your electrolytes into your system. So when your blood loses too much sodium, it replaces it with water. And then that can lead to some pretty serious problems. Now, on the simplest conditions, what you're going to run into is maybe a little bit of dizziness, some brain fog, headaches, or puffy joints, right? You know, those days when you're out there hiking and you think you're drinking a lot of water, but you're still feeling kind of swollen and lethargic. Well, that's because you don't have enough sodium in your blood supply. So in order to combat that, instead of just drinking plain water when you're out there on a extremely sweaty or overexerting hike, I would highly recommend you put in some kind of an electrolyte packet into your water. Now, I'm not going to tell you which kind to take. If I was sponsored by one, hint, hint, maybe I'd promote those, but I'm not. So I'm just using a generic one, but you want to have something targeted with additional sodium and electrolytes to replenish your supply. Well, that's it for me today, folks. I hope these 10 hiking safety tips help you on your spring outdoor adventures. If you found the information useful or somewhat entertaining, I hope you consider hitting the like and maybe subscribing to the channel for more weekly content. And until next time, folks, I hope to see you out there on the trail soon. Let's go for a walk.